Amara did little things like prohibiting Kofi from ever buying bread from her, and then she told him to stop coming around because her daughter was not interested in being with a poor person like him. To make sure his means of livelihood was halted, Amara went to many of our wealthy traders and instructed them to stop buying farm produce from Kofi, saying he was trying to force her daughter to marry him. Amara and her son-in-law, Kofi. Once upon a time, in the bustling village of Ayanna, there lived a very wealthy baker called Amara. Every day, in the middle of Ayanna, the aroma of freshly baked bread would waft through the bustling market square as Amara prepared her daily batch of her wildly loved bread. Amara was a woman with chocolate brown skin, silvering hair, immense beauty, and a gaze held with the hints of defiance and pride. Her expertly kneaded dough was known across her village, with his fame traveling beyond the boundaries of Ayanna village. Amara's smile, well etched with the lines of a well-lived life, was beautiful and well known to the villagers, just like a warm, crusty bread. Amara was not just a famous and wealthy baker, she was a philanthropist who loved helping children and those in need. Every day, our workers would go out to feed children and people in need with bread as well as provide them with money. Amara was loved by everyone in Ayanna. However, Amara was not always the graceful and beloved woman she was at the time. A very long time ago, Amara was just a single mother who was ostracized for her youthful mistakes, if you can call them mistakes. Amara had to fight very long and hard to rise above the whispers with her talents and tenacity. However, she knew that the mistakes of her past would always come to haunt her if she stayed in her own village, which was why she moved to Ayanna to build a new life for herself and her then unborn child. Now, Amara was a proud mother of one, and raising her daughter Zahra alone was her greatest achievement. Zahra was a vibrant and inquisitive girl, possessed with the same fire of passion that burned within her mother. At the age of 18, Zahra was a blossoming beauty, attracting admirers from every corner of the village. However, no matter how many suitors came to ask for Zahra's hand in marriage, Amara was always quick to turn them down. All Amara could see whenever someone took a liking to her daughter was a vulnerable chick yearning for protection. Amara was still haunted by the memories of her stolen youth and the harsh judgment she received from other people in the past, fueled by her protectiveness toward her child. For this reason, every suitor was dismissed with a pointed remark or veiled warning. Zahra was frustrated by the actions of her mother, but resolute in her search for a worthy suitor. During all of this, not once did Amara ask her daughter who or what she wanted. As long as the suitors who came along didn't meet the criteria set by Amara herself, then they were not worthy of loving her daughter. Plus, she believed that she knew what was best for her daughter, so Zahra had nothing to worry about. On one scorching afternoon, when the sun was happily working overtime, a new face appeared at the market square for the first time. His name was Kofi, a young farmer with sun-kissed skin and a warm smile, who had just moved to Ayanna from a neighboring village. Kofi stood hesitantly before Amara's large stalls. His eyes, the color of freshly harvested yam, met Zahra's gaze. A silent exchange passed between them. A spark, unnoticed by Amara, ignited between them, and it was the start of a memorable journey together. Kofi flashed a gentle and endearing smile at Zahra, and Zahra smiled sheepishly in return. visibly playing with her locks as she did this. Kofi was immediately drawn to Zahra's laughter and gentle nature and quickly became a regular customer. He would linger around the stall, talking about his farm, his voice carrying a melody that resonated with Zahra. Amara soon began to notice Kofi as well, but she never thought for a second that he could be interested in her daughter. Amara liked him for his hardworking nature and polite attitude. For months, their attraction, their own little secret, blossomed like a small rose in a garden of thorns. Stolen glances under Amara's watchful gaze and whispered conversations under the cloak of the night were how Zahra and Kofi communicated their affection for each other. Finally, one day, Kofi, emboldened by love, and crafted a heartstone necklace for Zahra. Under the canopy of a baobab tree, he asked for Zahra's hand in marriage. Tears welled up in Zahra's eyes as she said yes to his proposal. Her heart, fluttered like a hummingbird, was trapped in her chest. While this was wonderful news, there was one small problem. Kofi did not have a lot of money. Kofi was not struggling, but he was neither rich nor wealthy. Confession time arrived on a simmering afternoon as Amara meticulously kneaded her loaves. Zahra, with her hands trembling slightly, revealed her love for Kofi and their plans to get married. The air crackled with tension. Amara's face contorted with fury, years of built-up fear erupting. "Over my dead body," Amara thundered, flour dust in her fiery voice. "How would you tell me you want to marry that poor boy? I understand that he is handsome and hardworking, but how will he be able to take care of you like I have taken care of you?" Zahra was heartbroken but resolute. Zahra held her ground and yelled out, "But I love him, Mama." Her declaration was as profound as her mother's rejection. "And I will marry him with or without your blessing." The tension in the bakery was palpable. Zahra could almost taste it on her tongue. Amara was shocked at her daughter's defiance. Amara stormed off, leaving Zahra in tears. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of despair. Amara, while alone at home, could feel the weight of her outburst on her chest. The silence was deafening, punctuated only by the rhythmic ticking of the clock. In the company of complete darkness, illuminated only by the sole oil lamp in the room, she figured that if she couldn't stop her daughter from marrying Kofi, then maybe she could force him to leave the village instead. At first, Amara did little things like prohibiting Kofi from ever buying bread from her, and then she told him to stop coming around because her daughter was not interested in being with a poor person like him. To make sure his means of livelihood was halted, Amara went to many of our wealthy traders and instructed them to stop buying farm produce from Kofi, saying he was trying to force her daughter to marry him. Things became very hard for Kofi. The only way Kofi was surviving was by living on the food that Zahra could sneak to him at night. During the day, because no one was buying from him, he had to resort to manual labor. He started working as a laborer on other people's farms and helped people who came to the market to purchase goods carry their purchases. Zahra was heartbroken that her mother could do such a thing to the first man she had genuinely loved. Zahra's radiant smile disappeared, and instead, in its place, was a constant sadness that was difficult to overcome. She became sad and lacked the energy to do anything. Zahra started eating less and looked very sickly. Her once curvy body now looked slim and malnourished. Amara was worried about her daughter and missed how lively and bubbly she used to be. But she consoled herself saying she was just being childish. She assumed that her daughter would eventually forget about Kofi and return to her happy, usual self. Amara's heart was heavy for her daughter, but she felt like she was doing the right thing for her daughter. One day, while Amara was at the stall in the market square, Zahra went to the forest to gather poisonous herbs and ingested them in an attempt to stop the nightmare that was now her life. No one was at home when she ingested the herbs. In a few minutes, Zahra stopped breathing. Right before everything went quiet, she missed her mother and Kofi and wished that someone would come to save her from herself. It was almost as if the gods heard her. Amara forgot a carry pouch at home and came back to pick it up when she saw her daughter lying motionless on the floor. Amara screamed at the top of her lungs for help, hoping that someone would hear her and come to her aid. She held her daughter in her arms, crying uncontrollably. In that instant, she was ready to do anything to have her daughter breathe again. Luckily for her, Kofi decided to come and check on Zahra because he had not seen or heard from her in a while. He heard Amara scream from outside and quickly ran into the room. He saw Amara holding a lifeless daughter in her arms and the remnant of the herbs that she consumed on the floor. Kofi immediately ran into the bush nearby and plucked a few remedial herbs that he learned to make from his days as a farmer. He crushed the herbs together to squeeze out the liquid. He poured the resulting liquid into Zahra's mouth and then held her up. Amara could not do anything but watch as these events unfolded. All she could do was sob quietly. In a few seconds, Zahra jerked and vomited what she had previously swallowed. Kofi then gave her some palm oil mixed with highly heated powdered charcoal to prevent the poison from being absorbed into her system. By the time Zahra became fully conscious, she started crying, saying, "Mama, I'm so sorry. I was just so sad. I don't want to die. I love you, and I love Kofi too." Amara, happy to see her daughter alive, burst into tears, saying, "I'm so sorry. I tried to prevent you from marrying the man you desired." Amara held Kofi's hand and Zahra's hand and gave them her blessing. Amara revealed that the reason she was so adamant about choosing who her daughter married was because when she was younger, she was just like her daughter. Her parents didn't want her to marry from a poor family, but she insisted that she wanted to marry the man she loved. Her parents were against the marriage and didn't give their blessing. Amara then became pregnant out of wedlock, and her parents were very disappointed. But she didn't care. All she cared about was for the man that she loved to accept her with open arms. However, when she told him about the pregnancy, he told her he was too poor to raise a child with her, and since her parents were not in support of their courtship, they were definitely not going to support them financially. Amara, in that instant, could feel her heart sink in her stomach. For the next few months, she tried to beg him to stay, but his mind was already made up. 3 months into her pregnancy, her lover disappeared and was never heard from again. This made things worse for her and her family because her parents were very wealthy and important people in her village at the time. There were quiet rumors and lingering stares everywhere she went. One day, she decided that she could not take it anymore and decided to flee. She stole some of her parents' money and absconded to Ayanna village. It was there that she got her fresh start and became successful. When she gave birth to Zahra, she promised herself that she would not let her daughter make the same mistake that she did by not listening to her parents and going for a poor man to marry. When Amara finished narrating her journey and the reason she was so adamant about controlling who her daughter married, Zahra understood her mother better. She wiped her mother's tears and hugged her. Zahra told her that she would have understood if her mother had explained things to her earlier. Even though it may not have changed her decision on who she had chosen to marry, it could have prepared her mentally to deal with the consequences of her actions. Plus, she would have been more prepared to make sure she didn't make the same mistake as her mother. Amara and Zahra hugged each other as they both sobbed in each other's arms. Amara apologized to Kofi for how she treated him. Kofi smiled and said he accepted her apology. He told them he was no stranger to the lengths parents would go to make sure they do the right thing for their children. even when they themselves may be wrong. I have a small confession to make, Kofi blurted. Amara and Zahra stared at him, confused. Kofi revealed that it was from a very wealthy family. In fact, it was from the wealthiest family in his village. But his father was unhappy with how frivolous he was with money and women, which was why he cast him away, saying he should only return when he had learned to work hard for his own money and the love of a worthy woman. Kofi revealed that this made it easy for him to take all the harsh things that Amara did to him because he considered it penance for his sins. He promised Amara that he was willing to work hard to make something of himself and be worthy of marrying her daughter. In a few weeks, Amara arranged for Zahra and Kofi to get married in a very lavish manner and blessed their marriage. However, the next day after the wedding ceremony, Amara picked up just one bag and a huge purse of cowries and told them that she needed to find her parents and apologize for what she did. She handed her business to Zahra and told the wealthy traders in Ayanna that they could buy from Kofi. She begged them to forgive her for being childish before. Amara hugged her daughter tightly before venturing into the unknown. With a tight hug, Amara left, disappearing into the dusty path leading away from the village. On reaching her old village, she headed straight for her parents' house. She was surprised to see how beautiful it still looked. She was scared that her parents would have struggled to survive since she ran away. It was her mother that saw her first. Amara's mother at first did not recognize her, but in a jolt of recognition, she screamed, "Amara!" Amara smiled as tears welled up in her eyes. She dropped her bags and ran to where her mother stood, weeping loudly as her mother embraced her. "I'm so sorry, Mama. I'm so sorry for what I did." Her mother held her face and was just happy to see her daughter again. "I can't believe this is you," Amara's mother said excitedly, the lines on her face emphasizing her age. With a hint of worry in her tone, Amara asked, "Where is Papa?" Her mother smiled and pointed to the back of the house. "He is working on his farm." Amara and her mother ran inside to reach the back of the house, where they saw Amara's aging father carefully nurturing his plants. "Papa!" Amara screamed. Her father turned slowly with a hint of recognition. "I know that voice," he declared as he turned. Her father's joy knew no bounds. He was elated to see his daughter again. Amara ran to her father and hugged him. She apologized for stealing their money and running away. Her parents were just happy to have her back home. Amara narrated her journey and told them about her daughter and her newly wedded husband. After a year of living with her parents, Amara met a man who was about the same age as her, with kind eyes and a weathered face. His name was Kwame, and it didn't take long before they started courting, and this time, with the blessing of her parents, they wedded. Amara was filled with joy with no bounds. She never thought she would ever get to marry a man she loved with her parents' present to give their blessings. News of Amara's happiness reached Zahra, a sweet melody to her ears. Soon, Zahra and Kofi, hand in hand, visited Amara and Kwame, as well as Amara's parents. Amara's parents were joyous to see their granddaughter for the first time. The reunion was tearful, characterized by a heartfelt apology and an embrace filled with forgiveness. Amara finally understood the power of letting go and the importance of trusting her daughter to navigate her own path. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow on their faces, the laughter echoing around them was a symphony of love and newfound freedom. This tale of heartbreak, hope, and redemption is a reminder that parents, whilst wanting the best for their children, can project their own childhood trauma on their children without giving them a chance to grow and make their own mistakes. In the end, everyone's path is different, and as parents, the best you can do is try to guide your children. but you should never try to choose their destiny for them, as it may do more harm than good. The end. We hope you enjoyed the story you just watched. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video, as it helps us create more videos like this for you to enjoy. Thank you.